kidnap babies from hospitals, and they actually abuse people, kill people, revive them. It's a really big holocaust of really death revival loving. And sometimes, yeah, a person does get on screen as a model. They might get in a movie or get a commercial or something, but the commercial's actually tainted. Like, everyone knows that Hollywood is tainted with people on drugs, and it's more than just people on drugs. It's people who have been dead and put on drugs. And so what they do is they try and get a spirit in the head, by any means. They have sex with the body. They put little clumps of um, stuff inside a person's brain. They shove a lot of dirt in the person's frontal cranium in order to be able to allow a spirit to climb up to the top of the brain to revive the dead body. There are many magical ways, and it's all violence. And when you consider that someone's been killed and then put on a Hollywood screen in order to smile like they're Mr. Hollywood for like 2 minutes while they're on a big druggy high before their body doubled and pushed over for another look-alike celebrity who can last obviously a lot longer on a high than they could. When you consider what's really happening, it's really disgusting. And everyone who's alive feels threatened by these groups. I mean, they if they can build these infrastructures, I mean, the person who's the watchman, or the person at the little desk at the front down here, the concierge, has a skeleton key. If you don't have double locks on your doors, you're probably going to get broken into, robbed, and maybe be killed and be kidnapped by this media group who are very much connected to the media and modeling agencies. So it's really like a death group on steroids. And obviously this is just one location where there's a new building. Most new constructions are connected to the same kind of group. They've all been in movies, they've all been in pornographic films, and they're all managers in the media industry, and they also work for real estate and development, and they can also work in many other places like the police. It's a really big enclosure of killers who feel as though that they can continue to get away with doing what they want, and kidnapping people, putting them on drugs, and so they're always illegal aliens, and then doing what they like with them, and at the end throwing the dead bodies away. And you have dead bodies being found all over the place, in deserts, in people's fridges, as bones or baby bodies, or even baby bodies can come from the hospital. Can be abandoned infants, or infants that have been taken away and been claimed as abandoned children. It can be anything. So this is a really big issue that's going to start developing as these big buildings are constructed and sold. I don't think I'm going to buy any of these buildings. Purchase in any of these buildings. I feel very threatened, and I only just met this Leonie Steele person in this in the display suite, and already I'm getting the vibrations of real threats, and also from Prince William and Prince Harry. We got threats coming in from England. They're part. Princess Diana was actually Australian. All her next of kin, all of her relatives are homicidal maniacs. And so they're killing people. They're saying, oh, we're going to get you married to the prince. We're part of the royal family. We got connections, and they're just picking these people. They're just picking people off the street, breaking into their houses. They're big high crime thugs. And because they can also get jobs in the police, have friends in the police force, they have a lot of avenues where they can make a person feel as though the whole world is a crime lab, and that they're in charge of the world. So this is real true happenings that are being in place. I managed to get a lovely position as in a rental, in the middle of all this violence, and I'm being bombarded by a lot of things, people knocking on the doors trying to break in. Once a person did break in when I didn't have a deadlock on my door. I had to put a deadlock there. I think a cop almost came over to actually shoot me because I'd been complaining about a door knocker, but they actually found the door knocker on the carpet. I wasn't sure what they're doing because I can't see through my door, but they actually spoke to them and told them that they were gonna have to go away. The cop didn't take their name and numbers, and then an hour after that, the cop came. Two other cops who reeked of an orgy. Uh, Came to do a little mini interview with a couple of doors. But that first cop didn't even take the person's name or number like they usually do. When I phoned up the cops themselves, they didn't ask me if I would like to be visited or if I would just like the cop to scour, which is a bit of a quirk in itself, meaning that the person who's on the desk that night was probably part of this same group. So, it's speculation what that cop would have done, but it seems as though it could have been a set-up cop, a set-up sort of scene. People do say that the cops are corrupted, but I try to sort of support them and say and try to kind of use their services and be an informative citizen and whatnot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's a lot of apprehension. You can't just phone up with hunches and guesses. You really need first-hand evidence, and unless you're being attacked, I was taken seriously and only partially seriously when I had a break-in, because I phoned up when I'd just been breaking in, and but that it wasn't properly investigated because they hadn't been able to find evidence of fingerprints. So, but yeah, I tried to keep using the cops anyway. If there's people knocking on the doors, then I phone them up and tell them there's someone knocking all over the doors. They're trying to kick down next door neighbor's door, and it's like 12:30 a.m. They've been knocking for a half an hour, and they're going to continue, and they continue knocking for an hour after. And I asked them if they can send someone over, and I think that's a good call for a cop. Cops usually give leniency to not door knockers, so they won't actually arrest them readily. They'll just, if they find them, they might tell them to buzz off, and usually they ask them where they live, but this cop didn't. So yeah, so this is all part of this Hitler, big Hitler development goings on, and part of the capitalism from the pornographic media teams. They might have done porn in the past, worked in the media, and then moved on to real estate and real estate development. This group is building this is South Yarra Group, who has been constructing buildings all over South Yarra, and obviously they're quite famous. They've got big name Hutchinson's wife, big name developers, and obviously it's a bit of a big deal, but yeah, it's just a crazy world, and you definitely feel victimized in it, especially when you're not an Adolf Hitler lover, you're not a death lover, you're not wanting to commit suicide, and people wanting to kill you so that they can play with your body, have sex with your dead body, and get your body going again on drugs. Is kind of a big deal and a big worry until you're actually dead, and they're just playing cheese and mice. They put down a bit of cheese, and they want to capture a mouse or whatever, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's a big issue, big crime lab, and you feel like no one's going to help you. Like, even when you're calling the cops, you feel like no one's going to help you. But you never know when someone might.